Well, thank you, everybody. So, I mean, that presentation from Elena was amazing. And I know I actually didn't even ask her what she was planning to talk about today. She just said, I said, do you want to come to the keynote? And she said, do you care? Like, I have this thing. I was like, I don't know, just do it. Because I knew that it would be cool. I'm never disappointed by Elena, and I definitely wasn't disappointed by that. So she came in with poetry for us. So. All right, so now we're going to take all that high-minded, inspiring stuff about storytelling, and we're going to figure out how do we actually turn that into our work. And so everybody that I have here on this panel uses video in their work as marketers, as content marketers and content creators. So I actually was really excited about the way that we pulled this together. So I've got a few folks in here coming from different perspectives. So one, thank you, Sara, for joining us here. She's the content director at IBM, works in content strategy and planning on major campaigns, lots of custom content, which, as I was saying this morning, it's like custom content used to mean big white papers and reports. And apparently we also make videos now. I also really enjoyed when I was reading your bio that you are also a journalist and a writer, like, and kind of coming back into that storytelling roots there. So I really appreciate kind of going through some of your clips, actually, because I'm creepy like that. So thank you, Sara. And then I've got Javier joining us in here. He's a digital marketing specialist at Kearney, but I feel like that job title conceals a lot of things. Like that is the most understatement of the year. Like when it comes to like what somebody does in their day-to-day job and the variety of tasks. I mean, you make short form videos, long form videos, you work on podcasts, you work on social content. I feel like you are basically the guy at Kearney when people say, well, I want to do something different with this video, like with this piece of content. And you're like, okay, well, let's see what we can do.
Yep.
I mean, is that an accurate description? Is that your real job description? Because that's what I thought it was.
That is accurate. It makes for an interesting day for sure.
Yeah. And I mean, I would just say too, you've actually got some technical video chops, which I think is something that not a lot of the folks that necessarily are, you know, part of this conversation have. Like you actually can crack open, you know, a video file and start to do something with it.
I've definitely helped out, especially on the technical end on things, but it's amazing when everything can come together in something creative like this for external marketing. So it's definitely an exciting day. So happy to be here.
Yeah. All right, so we've got Doc Rock here with us as well. And this is actually our first time meeting through this panel. Our friends over at Prezi brought you in, and then I was really interested to kind of look at the work that you're doing. I mean, I think you're a storyteller. You really are looking to try to tell these stories and pull these stories out and using you. It seems to me like video is just is one of your many mediums here. It's like in terms of design and telling stories and podcasting and all that good stuff. So
yes,
yeah, like you kind of a little bit different.
I was a radio DJ for many years, and this is so funny. You know, sometimes tech just pulls a bunch of things together that seem random, but they work. I was a radio DJ, nightclub DJ for many years, but my family owned an electronics store. So we sold cameras and video equipment, and I sold everything from consumer camera to the overzealous soccer dad, all the way up to broadcast cameras. So if you watch the movie Pearl Harbor, like we outfitted their whole thing with all of their cameras that they used to make that movie. I even got to meet Ben. So I have a lot of experience from the technical side. When live streaming came out, I was like, wait a minute, I understand both sides of this thing. I understand the equipment and I understand the storytelling. So I just put that together, started teaching people because I think a lot of businesses, especially small to medium businesses, can use video much better than they were doing. And I thought I would show them how to bring fun and personality to reaching their base as opposed to just going, hi, my name is Doc. I am from Ecamm. Let me show you how to stream. I had to fix that.
That's very true. All right. Well, then we get to Stefanie. Stefanie, you have the most meta job. So you do the marketing, including the video marketing for the video company. So all of your video work has to be fabulous, right? Like you get no... yeah, and so you're really overseeing, like you have a lot of pieces. You got marketing, editorial, you got product marketing as part of your work too. So like talk to us about that. Like what are you focused on these days? What are you most excited about when it comes to video?
I'm really fortunate because I have an awesome team, and so I'm leading the team. But what's also exciting is with Prezi, we make a video tool. So I come from a brand background, and prior to Prezi, I come from big brands where we had really big budgets and big productions and highly produced. And I love today and being able to work with our customers and our users to see what they're making with our tool. It's really much more gratifying than some of the big productions in the past. So it's great to see how video has really evolved, given kind of how it's become so much more democratized now.
Mm-hmm. So I think as we get started, I want to actually start with you. Like, why do you think, as someone who's worked in video, both in like sort of in those previous roles as, you know, as a marketer, and then now working at Prezi and that being kind of part of it, why is video so important right now? Like, what is it about video that why has video become so critical when you think about content strategy now? What changed?
I mean, I think, it's so much more engaging. And so people's expectations, you know, everyone to get someone's and keep someone's attention. You can think about, you know, how many of you have binge watched something on Netflix and all of a sudden gotten that pop up, like, do you want to continue? And you're like, oh my gosh, how many hours have I been watching this awesome video content? But it's really engaging. And there's study after study saying that, you know, people want to see video from the brands and companies that they like. I know that everyone thinks, oh, for social video is great, but it's actually great for nearly every channel. You know, we have customers using it for sales prospecting, and they're getting like 5 times the engagement rates when they send a video in their email. We have it on our website. We have it within our blog. It's great for SEO. You know, it's really something that can go across all channels. And also, I think what makes a difference today is you can really see the ROI. It's easy to measure. And you can see there's analytics on videos. You can kind of compare the engagement rates you get on video over other types of content. And so that, you know, you can prove out, hey, this is, you know, giving me better ROI. And at the same time, the cost of video comes down with tools and user generated content and ways to make it. So I think all those things have contributed to the fact that, you know, video can really, really boost your content marketing strategy, and you can show the results. You can get a really good return.
Mm-hmm. Sara, what about from your perspective? Like, why is video becoming so important in the work that you're doing right now?
Yeah, I mean, I would just say that the way we use video has changed dramatically from being something we kind of push out into the world to being how we communicate. I mean, just to build on Stefanie's point about Netflix and streaming, like, we're using video in our personal lives and for entertainment. We're using it on social, like with the rise of TikTok and Instagram stories and Reels and the ways that we share out our day-to-day. And then, of course, like in the professional setting, we're on virtual meetings, we're attending webinars, and we're creating videos to build a relationship with our clients and prospects. And so video has really just become moved from this thing that's sort of captured and then released to kind of how we communicate every single day. And it's just a natural place to lean in our content strategies to that format. So I think there's just a huge opportunity for video today.
Mm-hmm. You know, it's funny you mentioned that about capturing all this video. This was something that occurred to me, like, I guess probably about 3 or 4 months into the pandemic. And it's really kind of started rolling out now. When we did events before, it was a production to say, like, I'm going to get a camera in, and you're looking at a $10,000 investment minimum, and somebody's going to come in and there's going to be all this footage and somebody's going to review it. If these events are virtual, like, we are capturing, if you take a little effort and you make sure that what you're capturing up front is like good video, we are capturing so much video now, you know, and in a way that is useful for marketing. And I'm frankly just kind of surprised that I see some brands do it, but I haven't seen them fully take advantage of this. Like, there are ways, like, I think the average Zoom recording, I don't think necessarily lends itself to this, but if you put a little bit of love into it, you can actually get some really good footage and use it for other stuff. Like, that's something that's been on my mind a lot lately. I call it like found footage. I feel like I'm just like, wow, you've got this treasure trove. Let me see all the webinars you did for the last year. So that's one of the things that I've been doing. Is that something that you're doing? You find yourself using it that way?
Yeah, and just to build on what you said, I think there's so much video content we're creating in webinars and events just like this one. And I think there's a couple of barriers to why it's not being used to its full potential. The first is just having a process in place of some of the formats and easy to use repeatable formats that you can use in terms of video after an event. So not reinventing the wheel each time, but saying, here, we have this explainer with some top takeaways. We have, you know, a clip of an expert, you know, let's share that 1-minute clip, and just making it so that companies can turn that around pretty quickly. And I think the second barrier is, as brands, we need to get a little bit more comfortable just sharing without all the review process that typically is in place for something like a big brand anthem video that is released with the start of a campaign. We need to get used to communicating through video the same way we might communicate through email or copy or social media posts. So I think if we can get over that barrier, there's so much more potential to use all the great footage that exists.
You know, you're right about one thing. Being able to get it out faster is the thing. I think what scares most people about video is this process of worrying about having to edit. I don't know if you've seen TikTok, but you don't have to edit. Like, I come from the broadcast video space, and one of the hardest things for me to do was to give up my over editing, making everything look the way I was trained to do so. And if you watch any good TikTok video, I mean, they literally just grab a phone, and that fake green screen thing that people like to do in TikTok and Zoom, to me, it drives me batty because I know how to do it properly. But they put it out there and everyone seems to love it. Like, there's a video with really bad green screen right now with 3 million views. How would you like 3 million views on a video that you made? So learn to get crusty. I tell all of my people, learn to get crusty, learn to be real, because people, no matter how nice your company are, people are buying from people, right? I like the people at Prezi because I know the people at Prezi, right? It's not just about a presentation software. Anybody can make that, but you can't make the team that they have, right? That's it.
So I'm going to move to you. Let's talk about why video is so important right now. Again, as somebody who's coming in, you came in this from radio, you know, and for broadcasting, why are we all so worried about video right now? Where did TikTok come from, right? Like, why is this so critical?
You know why? Because the industry used to block everybody else out. You had to be somebody to get in. And they spent so much time trying to watch that door that everyone was like, hey, let's sneak in the back way. And so there it happens.
Okay. Javier, I guess I'm going to ask this of you too, because I think that video became something a lot more important. Kearney had a kind of a big rebrand a couple of years ago where you kind of recentered your people. And I feel like at that point, video also became more important, but it keeps accelerating. So why has it mattered more to you? Like, why do you think video is like so hot right now?
Yeah, in terms of how the rebrand was kind of a catalyst for this, in 2020, with our rebrand, we went from Kearney to Kearney, and a big core principle of that was the idea of originality. And I think that speaks to what everybody is saying and what we heard on the other sessions. It's being authentic. It's bringing yourself as a culture, as a firm, as your people in the content that you're trying to do. So around originality, we have pillars of real, relatable, and refreshing. So we try and find ways to present the content within that prism that help us connect with people. And that's, I think, the real power of video. It's got a unique ability in a moment to connect with the viewer in ways that other forms of media can't. And as we were mentioning, there's so many channels. They're expanding capabilities. There's room for crusty videos on TikTok. There's room for a little bit more polished video on LinkedIn, or there's room for Instagram Reels. I mean, there's a medium and there's a channel to create, to place any kind of video that you're interested in doing. So it's a matter of, I think, just believing in yourself, aligning energy around it, and sort of acting on that. And it's always, for me, it's always special when the story and the visuals and everything that's said before come together. And I think video is important right now for us because as a brand, and especially around the idea of originality, we also crowdsource all our images that are being used on our website, on different areas of content marketing that we do. And so what we try and do is we relate that to video is, can we get a voiceover, a Kearney colleague? Can we get a user-generated video piece of content that we can do? We'll record webinars with people that we interview, but also a Kearney partner. And like we said, we'll cut a snippet out and we'll put that on social, and then we'll drive the full video on a story on a page on our website. So I think video is so personal and it's so connected that, and with our originality idea and our brand, I think it's just a lot of opportunity for us to expand on that.
I think crusty is my new favorite word for describing this.
No, I'm gonna dump
now.
it.
Like, I don't know how I don't know what I called them before. You know, I mean, I think authentic, it's overused. It's like,
100%. Thank you for saying that. It drives me crazy when everyone says, "Oh, you have to be authentic," and I'm like, "Okay, kids, come here, listen in, turn up your headphones, lean in close. If you have to be authentic, you're not being authentic. You just, you know what I mean? Like, if you're forcing it, it's not authentic. Stop it. Don't say that."
And actually, so I'm going to sit here for a second there with you, Javier, because I want to talk about that process. You mentioned like, oh, you can take something and turn it into this and turn it into that. Talk to me about like, I kind of want the day in your life, because I feel like if somebody comes to you with a piece of content and they ask you, like, they're like, oh, I want to make a video, or I've got this stuff. Like, how do you decide what format something's going to go in? How do you, because I know that they look to you for those recommendations. So they come and they say, we want to do this thing. Like, talk to me through your decision tree on that a little bit. Like, because I feel like we all do this a little bit differently, but I want to know how you manage to traffic cop this and steer people in the right direction.
Sure. And as you said, people are going to come to you with great ideas, and you want to take advantage of the energy that people bring. But
they also come with bad ones, to be clear. They also come with bad ones.
But
go ahead.
Yeah, and I said before, I've always loved engaging with somebody, or I've always loved collaborating with somebody who's engaged in the process. You know, it's better than the alternative. So, so definitely give them structure, guide rails at the outset. We'll have them ask questions. Does the video help to personalize content? Does it help explain a concept in a way that other forms of communication wouldn't? Or is the video effective within the channel that you're thinking of doing? So we're trying to get a couple of decision steps before production really starts to make sure, one, that a video is going to be worth it, that you want to pursue and spend that energy. The other part is storyboarding. You know, if we do decide to do a video, we provide a storyboard template and guidance, and it's so important at the beginning to create a video brief and a just a general concept of what this is, so that you can use that kind of as your target as you're working through the production steps in the video. And I think storyboarding helps not only editors when they get a piece of content to kind of execute on. Storyboard is going to help them envision what the client wants, but it also helps a marketer think about the story of the piece of content that they're trying to produce, and make sure that you have a narrative there, and it's not just throwing together like a checklist of components to try and get a message out. Definitely stories is pretty important. And the other part is helping them select a production resource. You know, I would call a Doc Rock on the phone. We have a group of talented video editors that understand our brand, external video editors that understand our brand, and they're able to take these ideas that we give them and help do the legwork of making sure that they not only fit in our brand message, but are telling the story in a visually compelling way. So I think putting together that kind of structure for marketers from the beginning to the ideation phase, and then helping them execute it is really important.
Sarah, what does that look like for you? Because I think you have a similar role. I think in a lot of ways, I think you two have similar conversations every day, and you're also like have a lot of smart people with very strong opinions probably coming at you. Like, I feel like that's both of your jobs. You should talk. How do you do it? Like, how do you decide? Somebody comes to you, like, what's that process look like?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, plus 1,000 to having a brief. I think so often we kick off projects, or there's a conversation, or there's an email, or there's a need that's expressed, and there's a deadline, and we just kind of dive into it. But that time on the brief is so essential, and that's what I work with my team. Like the other content strategists I work with really try to make sure that's in place. I think when you think about how to make video easy to incorporate in your content strategy, I would say it starts even before the brief. It starts with understanding your audience, where they communicate, what questions they're asking, who they want to hear from, because the answer might not always be a video. As much as I love video and I think it's a great format, I don't think the answer is always a video. However, if you decide, yes, like this is a question that's being asked on YouTube, or we need to feature an expert, or video is truly the best place to tell this story, I always like to think of video in 3 kind of buckets. The first is educate, the second is inspire, and the third is entertain. And I talk a little bit more about that in my handout. You have to know what your video is meant to do, and then do that one thing really well. And so that's what I always, when I work with other stakeholders at IBM, I always have that conversation of, are we just creating a video because we want this video to promote the product, or what is it meant to do for the audience? Is it to educate them on a topic? Is it going to inspire them to take an action? Or is it to entertain them and build relevance for IBM's brand and for that product portfolio as a whole? And once you have those details down and you have that really robust brief, that's when video it gets easier to produce and to make sure it's successful.
Cool. I'll keep this to you then, Dog Rock, because you're the one telling us to go make crusty videos. So how do we make video easier to bring into our strategies?
It's super funny. Okay, so when people think about video, I'm not going to get the big one because it's too heavy, but most people think of something like this, a gigantic little rig. You see all the vloggers walk around or whatever. I used to shoot a shoulder mounted 35-pound, $200,000 camera with $100,000 lens. This can outshoot those nowadays, right? But you know what else is just as practical? The video camera that you have in your pocket right now. Unless you are still on the iPhone 6, you have a dope camera in your pocket. This is a 4K camera with slow motion, built-in blurry background, like intelligent thinking to make it really hard for you to screw up the video. Like the brains inside your phone can do incredible things. So I saw in the chat earlier, one of my buddies is in here. Her name is Eden Liu. She is from a company called Camo. Camo allows you to just plug your phone into your computer, open up Camo, and you can make your computer camera not look like the thing that's built in, because it's normally not that great. You can make it look just like this. And I'm shooting out of a $1,000 camera with a $500 lens. But you know what? This is also a $1,300 camera. And it shoots fantastic. And you already know that because you've been taking those selfies you send your friends. So all you do is just mount it sideways, plug in the cable, open up Camo, connect that to your Zoom, your WebEx, your Prezi video, things like that, and look fantastic. As a matter of fact, on the Prezi channel, there's a video of Eden showing you how to do it. Get it? Because video, right? What we use it for is edutainment. I like to educate my people, but again, I sat through those classes, right? Anybody remember Trig? Right, your trig teacher, you kind of wanted to throw stuff at them, but you're a nice student. So this is a good way to show people that you're reaching out to your client base and you're not afraid to meet them where they're at. Let's put it that way. You're meeting them where they're at. If I came out with my super hyper polished video that I know how to do, I shot on red digital film cameras, I couldn't tell people, hey, why don't you start your live stream with the red digital film camera? They'll be like, red what? I never even knew that existed. I'm like, did you watch Spider-Man? You watched it, but they're not there. So you meet them where they are. And so many a times I will just stream with my phone just to show people that it's okay.
I would just say for the record,
you got to eat your own dog food. Sorry.
Yeah, we say drink our own champagne.
That's much better than mine.
Or whiskey, or like whatever it is that you're drinking. It could be your own Diet Coke, but it's like, I was gonna say the camera that I'm using right now, this is a $70 Nexigo. And I do like it in that it does come up a level from my, what's built into my laptop, right? But I do like it for that purpose. But the idea that I could just put my phone on there, my phone camera is in fact better. And now that I know that that's a possibility.
It's so beautiful. It's so beautiful. A good starter camera for anyone out there that's looking for something, they just want to make their video calls better. Just the Elgato face cam. Like it's really amazing. And it has, all the features that people are asking for now, like, oh, how can I touch up the skin just a little piece or whatever? I'm like, I don't know. I'm just old and funny looking, so I just leave it that way. But it's called the Face Cam. It's from Elgato. They run around $90. They're amazing. They work really well. USB, plug in, Mac PC, just throw it in, and you're off to the races.
Cool. All right, Stephanie, what about you? How are you making video easy? Like, what do we do to make any video easy? Because I think people get overwhelmed. I'm throwing this question out there because I think people get overwhelmed at the thought of producing video. If you are either an experienced video producer, kind of like what you were saying, Doc Rock, and like what Elizabeth on our team said, she said the hardest habit she had to break herself of was thinking everything had to be a Super Bowl commercial. You know, you're like, once you've made videos that grand, it's kind of hard to walk yourself back. Like that's her challenge. But I think that there's other folks that haven't done it at all, and you have a different kind of mind block. And Stephanie, how do we make this easy? How are
and I think that the years ago was, it's a Super Bowl commercial. I need to hire an agency. I need to make it a big production. And I think today, like we're all on video all the time. Cameras, as to Doc's point, have gotten so much better. And graphics. I mean, I come from Prezi, so we allow you to bring in make beautiful graphics on screen. That couldn't have been done years ago without those big productions, those big agencies. So you have all the tools. You have the high quality camera. You have tools that allow you to bring in the graphics, and you have to just kind of know that shift that mind frame of there's so many videos that will look. I mean, they'll look polished, but still, grungy, as Doc says. It's still going to be like you can do it yourself. And actually, that the word authentic, I agree. Like if you have to be authentic, you're not. I think about like how I talk to my daughter, like just be yourself. Just be yourself. Use the tools, and you can make really compelling videos. And I think part of it is knowing, I can't plus a million to everyone that has talked about the brief, knowing like what type of video for what target audience and what channel. And so, something that you would make for social or for TikTok will be different than what you make for a webinar. That would be different than what you would put on a TV ad, and for who and what is the purpose. I think everything that everyone has said, but for videos today, it's just it's a different one. And I think just remembering like the last 2 years, we've all been on video pretty much all the time. And so remember that and have that comfort level. I think, I think it's just like, it's part of our day to day, and there's no better way to connect digitally than video with, because it brings yourself, it brings your visuals, it gives you that space to have the kind of connection human to human that really can't, it's really hard to replicate in some other forms. And for sure, what Sara said, sometimes another type of content might be more appropriate, but when you're really looking to build that kind of connection, like, I think we've all proven over the last couple of years how powerful video can be. Can you imagine how we all would have been if there wasn't video in 2020? Like how would we have gotten our work done? How would we have built relationships with our colleagues when we were all just on the phone?
Can I add two things to that real quick?
Yeah.
Number one, I think the first thing to do, everyone says, and my students, I don't allow them to say this. Like I get into real fights with them about saying, like, oh, well, I'm scared of the camera. I'm like, a camera has never beat your okole. Look it up. It's a Hawaiian word. So I tell them that a camera can't hurt you. So here's how you get over it. Grab your camera every day and give yourself a 1 to 5 minute video diary or video journal, if you will. You guys remember TLC when, like Javi would come to my house and mess up my basement, and I would go to Javi's house and mess up his basement. Remember that show? They used to put the little box on and be like, oh, I thought we would have a good time making these shelves, but these shelves are falling down and they're so hard. And I don't know. I don't like my designer. They would have that thing, right? Do that like Real World or like TLC. Do that for yourself every day. You could talk about traffic. You could talk about how your kids are driving you batty. You could talk about, the grocery prices or gas prices, whatever. But just get used to talking to yourself in your phone. Make a video journal. You can delete them, but you just got to get used to talking to it. So your ability to speak extemporaneously to camera just becomes second nature. It was easy for me because I was in the radio forever talking to myself, like in a little box for like 20 plus years. So I learned it in the beginning. It was really weird sitting in a box by yourself, talking to yourself and assuming that people are listening. So the second part of that is, I think what brands are missing, if I'm talking to the bigger brands, the small brands, they got it. They've already figured this out. Your small short form videos, your Instagram, your TikTok, your YouTube shorts, or your YouTube videos, those are your discovery channel. That's how people find you now. there's not a TV to be bought without a built-in YouTube player. Not a single one. In the store, even if you buy the $89 Walmart blue light special, wait, that's Kmart. It has YouTube built in. So more and more people are watching, right? There's about 2 billion YouTube videos posted a day. Keep hiding. Keep staying away from where the people are and see how long that works for you.
So I do want to say, we talk about how things have changed, like getting comfortable and like this, just see ourselves on camera every day. I know that this was the thing that drove me to Invisalign. I got tired of looking at my bottom teeth over and over and over again. They had like shifted so slightly. And I found out from my dentist that actually was pretty common. Apparently everybody else also got tired of looking at their teeth, and that this is apparently also where everybody went and got their eyebrows microbladed, because we all suddenly realized we needed to fix our eyebrows for video. So
I would laugh at you, except for I just got LASIK. So now I can see the screen's much better without having to always wear my glasses.
Right. It got interesting. I don't know. I think they were telling me like that. It's like, oh yeah, like all sorts of like, yeah, apparently we all just were like, whoa, I really should do something about that. So that was like,
I did try the purple hair dye, but I looked like an eggplant because it didn't have any actual hair.
All right, let's talk about adapting content. I think many of us are actually coming like from places where content marketing used to mean written content in a lot of cases. So I think, Sara, that's probably true for you. I know, Javier, that is true for you. That is definitely true in my world. And I would say one of the most frequent requests I now get is, hey, we wrote this article, can you turn it into a video? And the answer is sometimes, right? And so I'm curious if y'all are doing that. And I'm going to start with you, Sara, on this, because y'all are prolific producers of like thought leadership and content. Like, are you turning things from written content into video content? And if so, what does that look like?
Yeah, we have a few examples of this, and it's interesting to hear you say that's a request you get a lot, because for us, it's usually the opposite. Typically, we have this video, can we make something, we have this event, can we make written content? But there's a couple examples of us turning video to written content. I think creating video from written content. The first is all the client stories that we produce. We try to take a more editorial approach to talking about IBM's work with clients and to really visit them in their offices, to interview the people who are on the ground, to go through the journey from the client's perspective and really make them the hero versus, look at IBM's products and look at all the great things that it did for this client. And so we have a standard format for that. It was kind of based on the, New York Times, Wall Street Journal style parallax editorial stories. And we had an example where we created one for an industrial client. It was a really well-performing case study. And we thought, like, why don't we take this and create a video? And what we did was we identified what were the top 2 to 3 key points and quotes and stats that were included in that piece. And then we worked with our internal production team to build kind of a fast-paced, newsy style, video with text on screen and graphics and stock. We didn't have to go back to the client to invest any more of their time. They were able to get another asset to talk about the great results they had gotten. So I think the more that you can create from what's existing, but then also be really respectful of the time of your subject matter experts and your clients, the better. And so I think that's a really great example of it. And there's a couple others in terms of, I think you could take infographics and easily translate that into a video. You could take a subject matter expert blog and have them instead just present that on video to the user base. So there's a couple different ways we can do it.
Okay. Stephanie, what about you? Are you getting that kind of request to moving and going from written to video, or do you see the other way? What are you more likely to encounter?
We're more in the other way. We get a lot of user generated content, like thought leaders using Prezi. And then we put them, embed them in blogs and add written content kind of as well. But we have had situations where we have really great thought leadership, like compelling educational content that's written. And then we use that to convert to video. And some of the ways we do it is you kind of look at the structure of your content. And usually it'll be broken out into key takeaways or, kind of sections. And if you kind of think of those takeaways as the outline for your video, and so you have the takeaway there, but then I would look for each of the point in your outline. You're not going to want to just say what you wrote. You kind of want to rebuild it, what for that key takeaway, what is the script, how would I do this on video, and what visuals do I need? And so we've taken the structure of the content, but we've really kind of thought differently about how to bring it to life on video. We don't just, read the content on a video, for example.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What about you, Javier? How are you using that? Because I know y'all produce a lot of content. You've got a lot of thought leadership stuff. Like, how often are you doing that? Are you taking it from written to video, or are you going from video to written?
Yeah, we do both. But one recent example that comes to mind is, as you can imagine, pursuits are a huge part of our effort as a firm. And part of the effort, we developed a group of globally connected resources that can help these teams when they engage in pursuits at different phases of the pursuit process. And it encompasses a lot of different areas. There's a lot of documentation on it. And what the marketers wanted to do was create a visual that kind of helps explain it, and it kind of lifts it out of paper for a moment and helps bring the concept to life in ways that people can relate to it. So we ended up being able to do that in a animation that was about a minute long, and took them visually on a user journey, a lot like what Prezi does when it goes through its presentation. It takes you on a journey through the content, and I think that's really impactful. And it was great to see that come to life in that way, and we were able to give the content depth that the video was able to communicate, that kind of complements the documentation and the resources that were set up for them. So they were interested in the process, and they saw how all the different functions could potentially come together to help them along this pursuit process. So, it's a corporate example, but I think it's a good one about how we can take something written communication that's complex and kind of reduce it down to a visual that kind of helps break the barrier to understanding it.
I think this actually, when you mentioned, we were talking about voiceovers earlier, and you were talking about using your own subject. We use Kearney consultants, use partners to do voiceovers. I think audio is something that has come up a couple of times in the questions. It came up this morning, and especially because I have you here, Doc Rock, Mr. Radio over here, let's talk about audio for a second. Because I think that 100%. One of the things that most surprised me when I moved out of print and moved into doing more video and stuff is realizing that 90% of great video in terms of listenability and something engaging is actually in the audio. That if you have people will tolerate rough video, but they won't tolerate rough audio. And so I think that it's 100%. A little interesting to figure out, one, you can tell me if you agree with that still, but
no, that's a fact.
How do you know when to get a professional voice actor? Like, when do you choose to go get a professional? Because those are also easier to get than ever before. This is one of the things I've loved. We now have like sites we can go to, and you can get whatever voice actor you want. It's a great time to be a voice actor. Or you use your internal people. You do your own voiceover. Like, I'm going to just kind of throw this at you, Doc. Like, how do we make great audio? Like, this is not the question on the screen, but I want to know how we make great audio and how do we make these
fantastic. Okay, first of all, you have a professional voice actor in your environment. Most people don't know because they don't bother checking. But Louise from marketing, she's in community theater and she's good at it, right? Eden sings karaoke every time you give her a chance. Trust me, she's in the chat. Ask her if she wants to go to karaoke tonight, anybody in New York, and she'll be like, meet you there. So you already have hams in your organization, right? How I got to Ecamm is they were like, we get a lot of support questions and we have lots of support articles, but we sell an application that helps people make videos. Maybe we should have support videos. And they're like, look in the chat. Hey, there's a guy, good voice, radio, funny looking. People will get a hold of him, right? So I converted almost every support document into a video. I'm still working on it, but I put out a video every Friday, which is another support document and video. Would you rather read the long, nerdy support document? Or would you rather watch the video? So the reason why the microphone is so important, when you were born, you was a little bitty children, your eyes were closed for the first couple of days. The only thing you did was have ears, and you heard your mommy, pobrecito. My mom was like, what did I do? Right? Finally, we got a boy. We should have kept it at all girls. So you've been hearing from the very beginning, right? Some people even say you were hearing while you were still in vitro. So your brain is more adapt to sound. So right away, as soon as possible, get better microphone. Like, and I don't, if I don't have the budget, whatever, the mics that are built in here are pretty good. The mics that are built into even this expensive camera is actually worse than this. So yeah, get a better microphone. I use oftentimes something like a Rode NTG. I was explaining to someone in the chat, they have a tiny version like the one that's hanging on my camera right now, with the little fuzzball on it. Any of those, a lavalier, you can get a lavalier for your phone, and they work really well. Watch the news tonight, everyone's wearing one. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So the reason why the slap was so loud is because Chris had a mic right here. So yes, you got to get that good audio. And once you do that, like somewhere between the quality of the sound, number one, and then I wouldn't necessarily worry about the voice actors so much, because people like real people. Right?
Mm-hmm.
People are able, even people who have really funny voices have turned that into gigantic careers. Looking at you, Jennifer Tilly and Fran Dresser. Like, there's people that made entire careers out of having the odd Gilbert Gottfried voice. So you don't necessarily need a voice actor. I'd rather know that I'm talking to Stefanie and Stefanie actually works at Prezi than to be, you know, Mike from Beagle Creek, Louisiana, doing her job for her because they thought he had a cooler voice.
But doesn't he have a great voice? Like,
well, actually, guy, right? With the Cajun accent, yeah, that's also good. Like accents work. A lot of my dad used to always be so afraid to make videos because of his accent. And I was like, Pop, your accent is the best part of you. Like, it's so funny. It cracks me up, because I was adopted by an old Korean man, and he had the most hilarious mix up of words. And any kid that's, you know, say have parents from a different place, our parents often switch genders in conversation. And it's hilarious to us, you know, because the pronouns are different in a lot of places, right? So they would just say the wrong things all the time. And I got a kick out of it. Right. And I'm like, people are paying attention more because they're listening through the accent. So people who think you have a funny accent, no, you don't. Just do what you got to do. That's
really interesting too. Like, and I'm going to kick this to you, Javier, because I think at Kearney, because it's the part of it you mentioned, that's what everything about the subject matter experts and having people do videos, like in your originality and everything. Are you using voice over actors, or do you strictly use your people?
We don't strictly use our people, but that's our first choice. If we can crowdsource anything, we'd like to present our people and just give them direct access in the content that we're producing. If for whatever reason we don't have a voiceover available, we don't have Lynn in marketing or myself, and I've done that before, then we we'll go to a voiceover and we'll get something done there, but we don't do it that often. We really try to leverage the user-generated content that we have in whatever way possible.
And I would say even in my voiceover stuff, I'm finding more and more in the briefs that we're doing. In the past, people wanted this, like we call it like the broadcaster accent. It's like the neutral American, like very plain. I'm finding more and more, like in our brand, the brand guidelines of companies that we work with, they say, don't use that. Like, please don't. Like, please find something else, anything else. Like, you know, mix it up. Like, we want a variety. That's been part of like the diversity initiatives, whether it's been voiceover or internal. So I'm curious, Sarah, like, what's your experience with that? Like, are y'all using a lot of voiceovers, or is it more internal?
Yeah, I mean, what you just said about more variety and diversity, that has been a big push and a lot of momentum internally at IBM. You know, for a couple of reasons. Obviously, we want to be representative of the diverse clients and partners and employees that we work with in such a huge and global company. And secondly, when you use that traditional broadcast voice, I think people immediately all that kind of blends together, and we don't stand out from any other video that's out there from Salesforce, from Microsoft or Amazon. You know, we need to think of ways to make our content stand out. So yes, we're using voiceover, a mix. It really depends on the project. We have had clients who've had a great voice and we've had them narrate their story and their work with IBM. There's other times where we've worked with our video production company and they've identified a voiceover artist. So I think it really just depends on the project and the goal of the project. But if we can, getting someone who is there to tell the story is always the first priority.
What about for you, Stephanie? Like, I mean, I guess I think I know the answer to this, just given how prolific content creators y'all all are. But like, do you more team voiceover or team internal SME these days?
Yeah, we are definitely team internal and team customer voice, not just our team. Although we do, and we go beyond the obvious in our company. Like, we have the theater majors in marketing, but we have engineers who are doing voiceovers for us, and it's like, we're doing some, tutorial on a product they built. How excited are they? The passion they have and pride comes through in when they can be part of it as well. And then just plussing one what Sarah and Doc and Javier said of the hearing from your customers too. Like we had a customer who talked about they showed Prezi content at an executive meeting, and the executives got up and started dancing. And if I wrote that script and had a voiceover actor, it would sound so fake. But hearing it was real, and seeing them and hearing them say it, you can't get better content than that. And it would not be the same if it wasn't coming from their own mouth and their own experience and their own, like, just, as they talk about it, their facial expression, it's so compelling because it's something only they experienced. I wasn't there when that happened. Voiceover actor wouldn't be there when it happened. So I think you really can't easily replicate some of that kind of content unless you hear it from the person who had experienced it and is trying to tell their story. And that's super compelling content.
What's funny is a lot of companies are afraid to do this, but my founders come out every month and do a live Q&A. Yes, we are live streaming video software. Yes, I understand. But they do a live Q&A every month, and our community absolutely loves it. Number one, they're absolute dorks. they're not, very camera oriented guys, but they come in, people get feature requests, people will say, what happened with the app that didn't work the way it did. And it's just fun because they engage directly with our target audience. And that is the best stream every month. Everyone loves them, and they can't wait till the next month to get to meet your founders. I wish more founders would come out and make themselves available to talk to your community. They want to know you as a person. Again, I got your product. Your product is fantastic. And if you ask, as an ex-Apple employee, one of the reasons why we blew up is when Steve started going out on stage and showing everybody the product live and coming and talking to the people in the room. We were the nobody computer company that was struggling, always fighting with Stephanie's company. And then Steve came out and put it out there, and they go, you know what, guy's weird, funny, awkward personality, but I like where he's going with this. And now every 3 months, Tim or somebody from the team is on stage showing off more products, and it's the #1 selling computer out there nowadays. Well,
yeah,
Stephanie might tell me I'm wrong, but you definitely need to get out there, put yourself out there, stop being afraid, and you telling people your product is great, but you won't stand there and do it. Come on.
Yeah, I think,
Javier, you want to say something?
Yeah, I think it's the power of vulnerability. And I've been to a couple of Adobe Max conferences in LA, and one of my favorite parts was Sneaks, where these engineers would demo products that weren't ready for release, but they were just ideas or investigations into what they wanted to do. And they were vulnerable. It could fail. And the rule was there was no booing. There was only cheering. And if it failed, people cheered louder. And so there was something really powerful about that. And that's what I loved about putting yourself out there, is what everyone is saying. I think that's when you can get something that's really impactful and it's true to you. I'm not going to say the A word. I'll use any other word besides that. Right. But it's definitely something that can be really impactful when you lean into it.
So I want to kind of stay on this real quick, guys. We do have a few more minutes as we get ready. We got to get ready for Lorraine's talk, and that's going to be coming up at 12:45 here Eastern. But in the next few minutes, I do want you to start to put your questions in, and we can get them answered. before we get into that, I want to talk to you about how we coach these folks then, right? So like there are two aspects of this. There's a technical, people often think about the technical part of producing video and they think about that aspect of it. To me at this point, that's the easy part. You can always go find great people to partner with that'll help you get it edited, people who can come in and film, they can get through there's a change management aspect of this, and it is confidence. Like I actually call it, I say half my job is like call it content therapy, which is 90% getting people to have the confidence to get up and like they have great ideas. They're totally experts in their field. It's like, come on, you can do this. And so I'm curious, and I'll just kind of going to start with you on this one, Sarah, and I definitely want to know how you do this. Javier, we're going to go around. How do you get those engineers? How do you get those, consultants? Like, how do you get them comfortable? How do you get them feeling good? Like, teach them those skills and get them ready to get on camera. Sarah, what are your 3 favorite tricks for this?
It's a great question. I think the first is just having those pre-interview conversations. I think making sure you spend the time discussing and really honing their ideas, because they're experts in engineering, they're experts in technology. They are not necessarily experts in storytelling and marketing. So help them get to those top 3 things that they want to share. I think also just reminding them that the audience wants to hear from them and showing other examples of success that we've done and really building up their confidence. And then lastly, just making sure, again, everything is set, that they have all the tools they need. We work with our internal production studio to ship them a package of lighting and ring lighting and microphones and all of that. But we do try to identify who are those people that are, most talented speaking in front of camera, and really try to groom them and train them to be the voice of some of the key products.
Mm-hmm. Javier, how do you do it?
I think these people within our firm, they're passionate about the areas that they work in. So it's just a matter of helping them tap into that and telling them that it's okay to allow themselves to express it. So a lot of times when I'm in person with somebody and we're filming something, I'd be like, use your hands, feel free to be expressive, go ahead and laugh, do anything. Mm-hmm. It helps them get their energy up. And I think getting their energy up especially is important, and that comes through in the footage that you do get. So I think, once again, having a brief, I think, is good. I dislike a lot of written text that they're going to refer to. I much prefer bullet points or something that they can have, because I want them to be able to elaborate on something or go off on a tangent that they feel is important. Once again, to the point of the audience is interested in what they're saying. And I think you can find some good examples of content being captured when you do that.
Are you taking away their PowerPoints?
that was a huge part.
I was laughing when he said go off on tangents, because my crew, they know I go sideways real quick. I have my audience keep me in straight, because I'll go crooked and start talking about the Raiders or something completely different. So that's funny, Javier.
That was a huge part of our rebrand too, is eliminating these long PowerPoints. We're trying to distill even our presentations down to a small amount of slides, small amount of information on it, because really the color and the content is going to come from the person delivering the message. It's not going to come from what you've written down. So the more we can set up that kind of framework for people, I think that's where the successes come.
That's why Prezi is good, because it doesn't have to be linear. Like most of the formats out there force you to be linear, but Prezi's good because you can go back and forth into different sections.
You saw me do this in the talk.
It's really cool and helpful. Amazing stuff. Thank you.
Yeah. And also, you don't hide behind your slide. I think that's like just looking at you right now, and you're there, and your content's next to you is. Don't show up. No one wants to see a slide with a voice in the background, and you don't see your passion for the topic. And in terms of coaching people, I have a lot of empathy. I'm pretty introverted myself, and I was a very shy kid. And so I've worked a lot myself in this area. And so for, the biggest thing for me is always practice. If you practice a ton, you will feel so much more comfortable on camera. So when we have someone new, going on camera the first time, I'll say do you want to practice with me as much as you want beforehand? Just practice, practice, practice. And it kind of takes away those nerves and takes them down quite a bit.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
I like that
right,
you said that
you're,
about the
You're
practice.
the coach. How do you do it? How do you get us happy? How do you get us comfy?
It's funny. Like, that is literally my business. I am a content creation coach. I try to teach people how to take even the most mundane things and turn them into something cool. And sometimes when you know it's mundane, I'm looking at what Natisha is talking about. You think this works with government agencies? They're the ones that need to do it the most. Like, imagine making a video with the DMV employees about, yeah, I know we're looking at you all mean face. That's in a manual on page 3. It says we're supposed to give you the mean face. But look at me. Like, I like to sing Elvis songs in the backyard, or I make a wicked barbecue, you know, or if you see me at the grocery store, don't be afraid to say hi. Imagine if the DMV people came out and showed that they're real people, because they are. I know their job is to look at you as like, you didn't sign this in triplicate. I'll go to the back of the line. You know that. Yeah, have fun with it. Like, let the people know that the people that you mean mug at your DMV is someone's auntie. Like, that's a real thing. I live in Hawaii, so our families are all very close. You guys saw Lilo and Stitch. We try not to do that to people. Our version of sharing the aloha is to be nice to as many people as possible, because you don't know they're going to be related to the person you work with. You don't even know it. It just happens. So I think part of it is, yes, getting over the weirdness. It's not about you. It's about your audience. Your channel is not your channel. Your product is not your product. It's their product. You just happen to be the arbiter of change. So allow them into you and you into them, and build I hate this old school, like 2000 startup word, build a symbiotic relationship. Sorry. It came from the startup world. I hated that word, but it works here. It totally works here.
All right. Any other quick questions here? Because we got 4 minutes to go around. I think I do want to talk about this transparency bit and this vulnerability, because I think this comes back to the change management part. Sometimes we're coaching specific people and getting them ready to open up. Sometimes what we're doing is trying to change our brands, right? And I think that's where I think for you, Javier, in some ways this was probably easier, because the whole brand shifted and you had the ability to say, like, we can be like this, right? It doesn't have to, you had like some formal guidance behind you. But I think in other cases, we're trying to do this organically and pull it up. But like, I think the challenge for a government agency isn't, do the people have confidence, because they're getting up into impressors and stuff. It's, are they really ready to be that transparent? Are they ready to be that democratic? And like, that's a brand, like a capital B brand problem, right? Like that's, I think that's going to be the challenge there. That's beyond video coaching. And I don't know if you can coach somebody through that, but sometimes we can drive that change through what we do, I think. I also really want to see Elena go do a DMV series. I want to go see her, you know, she picked that up as a project, people that work at the DMV. So, all right. So we've got 2 minutes here. I want to just kind of go around real quick. Everybody, I think you all put some great handouts in here if you want to check out these handouts, you know, for further work. And we're going to send some of this to in the follow-up email after the session with the recording. We'll make sure all that stuff's included. I'm gonna kind of just go around real quick, and I'm gonna ask each of them. I'm sorry, I'm gonna go Stefanie, Sara, Doc, and Javier, because that's where you're in order form with me. But like, what if you had to pick one word to describe the way that you're thinking about video in your work in 2022? What is it? And I'm gonna go for you, Stefanie, first. What's your word this year? I'm sorry, introvert. Like I did this to you. Like,
no, it's all good. You know, it's tough because we make a video tool. So when I think of video, it's like so core. I guess the word is, it's so core to so much of what we do. Like central core, something like that.
Core's a good word. Core's a good word. It might be the new crusty. I don't know. All right, Sara.
I would say useful. I think when we think about meetings, video meetings, make them useful. And I know we're going to hear from Lorraine in a moment. When we think about videos for our brand, truly make them useful for the audience, educate them, make them happy, inspire them. Don't create video just to create, but balance that creativity and imagination with making something super useful. So I'd say that's my word for 2022.
Okay. Doc, what you got? What's your word?
I'm so happy you asked this question. My word is the same word I use in all my training. It's purpose. Once you know your purpose, you can do it. Your shyness goes away. I don't have time goes away. All these weird things go away when you find your purpose, your ikigai, look it up. Because purpose is an analgesic. Like people say, well, I don't have time and I'm so nervous. I go, no, you know what? When I know that my higher purpose is to get everyone to come out and tell their stories, nervous doesn't even become part of the conversation because my purpose is more important. So yeah, look up purpose, or better yet, look up ikigai. I didn't want to have to explain that in a short burst.
You can drop that one in the chat for him. That is a great concept for this. So you can drop that one in the chat. All right, Javier, you get to end it. What's your word this year?
I would say originality. And once again, it's finding something that's core about you, whether it's on like a personal level or if it's on a firm level, and finding something that's original to you and having the vulnerability to just bring that out and let people experience it and interact with it. And you end up getting richer from the experience and the back and forth at the end of the day.
Cool. Original is also better than authentic, I think, because, you know, that's also falls in that category of like, that's a better word. I still love that word. And that was, I love that brand. If you guys haven't checked this out, if you're not familiar with Kearney, I would highly encourage you to like bounce over, at least look at the website and just kind of see what they did with consulting. I mean, I'll just say this, like you went from being kind of standard issue and kind of stodgy old stuff. I don't even remember what it used to look like anymore, like, to very much all about the individual contributors, like, and the ideas everybody brings. And it was just beautiful. It was a beautiful, beautiful thing. So, and I think I love seeing the way that the team has continued to bring that to life every day. So I think
yeah, it's pretty exciting. Thank you.
Yeah, it's been cool. All right. So we've got core and useful and purpose and original. And I think that is a great transition to go over and check out Lorraine, because she has all of those things. So she has all of those things in spades. So I will see y'all over there. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you
so much.
Thank you so much.
Mahalo.
Right.